Ciao Bella, welcome to Bella Uncinetto. I'm Christina and I'm so glad that you're here with me today. If you're new, welcome in. If you're returning, welcome back. No matter how long you've been here, I always appreciate your time. We are doing another episode of Fiber Arts on Screen today, and I wanted to share one of the shows that I've actually watched all of the episodes for, uh, but not necessarily when they all came out, and originally not all in the correct order. So, if you know from the title, I'm talking about the show Friends. I have watched every episode of Friends, but I didn't do that until recently. So, I had watched bits and pieces. I liked Friends, but if you've not been around, I never did watch a lot of TV, and to date, I still don't watch a lot of TV. And I will tell you the story. For those of you, I have gotten a few new subscribers, so definitely time to refresh people that have been here, their memory, and to clue you all in. So, growing up, as many households did uh, in the 80s and 90s, right? There was only one TV in the house. Uh, I lived way out in the country, and we had this big pole outside of our house. It was our antenna, right? So it was this big antenna that was outside the house. And in order to get a good signal, you would have to turn the antenna just right. And it depended on cloud cover, the weather. Um, there was a train track out in the woods. Like, we had several acres. So, um, way back, right? It wasn't on our property necessarily, but way back, there was a train track. And if there was a particularly heavy train coming through, and it would like shake the ground and let the wind blow real hard, and it would turn. So, one, it was always a challenge, okay, for anyone to watch television in my house. Two, um, I didn't really care for a lot of the things that were on. Now, I would watch sometimes I would watch things like they had the TGIF, I think. I don't remember what network that was on, but it was like Boy Meets World and a couple other things, Family Matters, a couple other things. So like I would watch that occasionally, but only when my stepdad wasn't home. Um, and sometimes not even then because I would rather be reading, honestly. And there were times when my stepbrother and stepsister would live with us. They really liked to watch TV. I didn't like people. To this day, I still don't like a lot of people. Like, and I don't mean that in a mean way. I just mean like I get overwhelmed by noise really easy. And so imagine that I'm a teacher, but um if they're talking about what's happening on the TV and I'm trying to watch the TV and then somebody else is talking, like my mom's in the kitchen, or like I can't, nope, don't do it. So I would go in my room and I would turn the radio on and read at the same time, but it would drown out what was happening in the living room, but then also I could focus on what I was reading. And I would read anything and everything, right? I would read the encyclopedia. I would read novels. I would read my textbooks from school, okay? Just one, because I like information, and two, because I didn't want to be in there. And so my mom caught on fairly quickly that the biggest reason why I didn't watch TV is because I didn't want to socialize. So one of the ways that she would punish me, right, if I would do something or smart off, which was usually what I got in trouble for, my mouth, uh, I would be made to watch TV in the living room with everyone. And she would call it family night. And we would all have to sit and watch whatever show. Of course, I didn't pick because I was grounded. So somebody else would pick, right? And it was torturous for me. And so now when I sit down to watch TV or even a movie, like if I'm at home, it's really hard for me to sit down and watch TV. Sometimes it's really hard for me to sit down and make a video because I I mean, I'm looking at the camera, but I have my computer screen right here so I can see myself. So it feels like I'm watching TV. As odd as that may sound, sometimes it's hard for me to watch videos on YouTube. Like, I love to watch my friends' crochet channels. I love to watch spinning videos. I like to watch the carding videos. I find those super soothing. Uh, I like to watch painting videos. There's some that are, they don't say anything. There's one, it's like Jay Lee. I love watching those videos because they don't say anything, but the pictures are really pretty. So, but it's so hard because I feel like I'm in trouble. Does that make sense? Like, maybe not for some of you. Like, TV wasn't a punishment, TV was a reward. But like, do you know there were things that you were punished, and doing that now still feels like a punishment? Whether it's washing dishes, whether it's vacuuming, whether it's cleaning windows, or whatever your punishment was, right? If you do that now as an adult, it still feels like a punishment. So for me, sitting down and watching TV feels like I'm in trouble, right? I'm way older than I should be feeling like I'm getting in trouble, but man, is that ingrained in my head. So I try really hard to break that habit. And one of the things I did is like, I want to watch all of the episodes of Friends. Now, it took me a long time to go through all of the seasons of Friends and watch the episodes because it's hard for me to watch TV. That's not to say I didn't enjoy them. That's not to say, I mean, and they're short, right? So I could easily watch maybe 3 episodes before I was like, okay, I gotta turn it off, right? So anyway, in this series of fiber arts on screen, I am looking at all of the different ways that you can see fiber arts show up on screen. Now, I've done 3 episodes already, and they're not all knit and crochet, right? Some of them are, but the last one that I did on Cruella had nothing to do with knit or crochet. It was being a seamstress and making clothes and fashion and things like that. This one, we're going back to the knit and crochet with Friends because there are a lot of interesting places that it shows up. Funnily enough, though, most of them are in season one. After season one, it's like one or two. So I think that that is an interesting shift away from using those things. Now, you do see some knit sweaters show up. I know there was one episode, it was like the one with the red sweater. That was a knitted sweater, but it looked like a machine knit sweater. It didn't appear to be a hand knit sweater, so I didn't include it. But there are several instances where we see knit and crochet show up. So that's what I'm going to talk about. And as I'm talking about it, there are going to be pictures that flash up on the screen about what I'm talking about. Okay. So the first time that we see it is in, and I have my notes right here. I have them on my sticky notes. Right. The first time that we see it is season 1, episode 11, and that's called The One with Mrs. Bing. And this is where Phoebe and Monica, um, there's a guy walking and Monica whistles at him, if I remember correctly. It may have been Phoebe, but I think it was Monica. I think Phoebe encouraged Monica to whistle, and the guy ended up getting hit and ended up in the hospital, and he was in a coma. And they were both like fighting over him, like he was the dream boyfriend. So they were shaving him, they were visiting him. Phoebe was playing the guitar, Monica was knitting for him. And in the video, I mean, in the episode, there is a point where Phoebe is in the room with him and there's a blanket on his bed. It appears to be a crochet blanket, but Monica was knitting the blanket. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna say it's a crochet blanket, but it's like a light blue and a dark blue chevron pattern. I'm sure you can do that in knitting, but it looks crocheted to me. So I'm gonna say it is. I could be wrong. Correct me in the comments. It's fine. Gently correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, please. So the next time that we see the fiber arts is in season 1, episode 13. It's called The One with the Boobies. And there's this back and forth between the girl apartment and the boy apartment, right? Where they're trying to catch each other in the shower. And Rachel is caught, right? And she's covering up with this crochet granny square blanket. Now, there's some theories on this blanket because it is a ratty blanket. I mean, it is raggedy. So, some of the theories are that it was left over from Monica and Ross's grandmother. That was the blanket that she had made and it was just left over. Someone said maybe Phoebe thrifted it and it was raggedy to begin with. Whatever the case, right? You can see Rachel. I almost said Jennifer because that's the actress's name, but the character's name is Rachel. You can see Rachel covering up with the blanket in that episode. You don't see it for very long, but you do see it, and it is a granny square blanket, like red and yellow, like a white border. Then the next time that we see this one is going to be knitting is season 1, episode 16, and it's called The One with Two Parts because there's a part 1 and a part 2, which is episode 17 is part 2. So Monica is knitting at the table in their apartment, and you have Rachel has I believe it's Rachel, has it in between her hands, or maybe Chandler does. But it's Monica, Chandler, and Rachel sitting at the table. And Monica is knitting, and maybe it's Chandler, but he has his, like, you know how you wind the yarn because it was in a hank, and then you have it, it's not in a cake anymore, but he has it in between his hands, and then it looks like Rachel has the ball in her hand, or I could have that flipped. Anyway, one of the things that I like about this particular one is that Chandler screams at Monica, "Knit, good woman, knit!" Like, go, 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 go. Like, so, and you see that, I've seen that particular phrase made into memes before in some of the, like, yarn websites and different things like that. So, he actually talks to her about doing the actual knitting. He just yells at her, but it's actually the word is mentioned. The other times so far, knit and crochet have not actually been mentioned. You've seen it, but it hasn't been mentioned up until this point. Let me look, make sure, because I wrote these out of order, but I want to make sure I'm saying them in order. Okay, so the next one is season 1, episode 22. So you see, so far, all of these have been in season 1. And here again, we see that ratty blanket from season 1, episode 13. But this time, Rachel is covered up with it and she's having a dream. But you can see, in this case, you can see the holes a lot more clearly. So it's almost like the ends weren't woven in and like one of the granny squares fell out, or a couple of the granny squares fell out. You see it in the picture. But this particular episode is where Rachel is having those dreams, right? Those wet dreams, and it's interesting that Ross is the one that's covering her up with the blanket, and she's talking about, well, I won't ruin it for you. Just if you've seen it, then you know. If you haven't seen it, go watch it, right? I'm trying to say things about the episodes without ruining it for you if you've never seen them. I don't like spoilers, so I try not to do that, but I mean, I'm trying not to give away plot points. Okay, so then we only have 2 more, and it's several seasons later that we see these show up. So the first four, right, I said were in season one. And after that, you might see people wearing like knitted items, but not a lot of them. And they don't appear to be hand knitted because it's never mentioned, oh, that's a cool sweater. Did somebody make that for you? Blah, blah, blah. So maybe, maybe not, but I didn't include them. Okay. So the next time that we see knit or crochet show up is in season 4, episode 8, the one with Ross's teeth. And this is where Joey and Chandler are no longer living together, and Joey has a roommate named Janice. And Janice is slowly changing things in the apartment. And Chandler is saying that Janice is making Joey more. This isn't Janice like the Janice that Chandler was dating. Yeah, different one. But they're making all of these changes to the apartment, and you actually see Joey and his roommate knitting together. Hold, please. Okay, sorry. I was saying Janice, and I was like, that seems wrong. So I paused the video to make sure it's not Janice, it's Janine. Janine was the roommate. Janice was Chandler's girlfriend. Not necessarily at the same time. But Janine was the roommate, and she was putting all of these little feminine touches in, and then you see her and Joey knitting. He's learning to knit. Janine is teaching him to knit. Again, it's an interesting episode. But that is the only other time. So Monica knitting and then Joey learning how to knit are the only times you actually physically see someone knitting. Now, are they doing it correctly? You can watch the episode and make that decision for yourself. A lot of times when people put crochet, like the act of crocheting and knitting in a TV show, if you're a knitter or a crocheter, you can tell if someone's actually doing it or if they're just playing with it to show whatever storyline that they're working on. So you can tell if the person who's doing it actually knows how to knit or crochet or if they're just sitting there, right? So the very last one, and this one is debatable. When I was doing my research, well, I'll talk about it. When I was doing my research, there was some debate as to whether or not this was actually crocheted. So in season 7, episode 9, the one with all the candy, this is where Monica is making candy for everyone. It's during like Christmas time. And there is a blanket that Phoebe is sitting on. Some people said it was a granny square blanket. When I looked at the blanket, when I looked at the pictures, it didn't look like a granny square blanket. It was like squares, but it looked more like a yo-yo blanket. So either, and this is where the research kind of like differs, either it's a quilted blanket where there's little circles of fabric, or they're little crochet circles that are like crocheted together and then made into squares and bordered and so forth, which is entirely possible. I mean, you can crochet the little squares and link them, crochet the little circles and link them together. I wouldn't want to do that, but some people have more patience than me. That's fine. But it is, I didn't get a close enough picture to see if it was actually fabric circles or if it was yarn, but there is some debate there. So those are all of the episodes, but you can see the 4 in season 1, and then we wait until season 4 to see the next one, and then season 7 to see the last one. And after that, you don't see knit or crochet really again in the series. Although there are some people who say it does kind of have that crafty kind of vibe, and I think to the biggest degree that's because of Phoebe as a character, because she very much has the um, hippie vibe or like the crafty kind of vibe. She's very relaxed and kind of has more inkling to do something like that, which I think it was funny that they had Monica knitting and not Phoebe, because Monica is very structured, which, I mean, knitting and crocheting can be structured, but I'm just saying maybe that was something to relax her or keep her mind busy. I don't know. Because so there are some people who say that they were they were taught to knit or crochet to keep them still, right? I've heard people say that on their channels and in real life, that their parents or grandparents taught them how to do that so that they would sit down. But anyway, that could have been it, or it could have been that Monica was, since she was so heavy when she was younger and she didn't have a lot of friends, she had a hobby that she could do without other people. I don't know. It's never discussed how she learns how to knit. She just does. And then we don't ever see Joey knit again, probably because he's too embarrassed, right? So, let me know what you think. Do you like the show Friends? Have you seen the show Friends? What's your favorite episode if you have? Who's your favorite character? What other questions could I ask? If you haven't seen Friends, is it something that you would be interested in watching? I know if you have Netflix, the last time I checked, it was still on Netflix. But I know that there are other places that you can watch it. When I was in the UK, the person's house that I was staying at, they had, um, what is that called? Sky TV, I think. And Friends was playing like in syndication on Comedy Central, I want to say. I think. I don't know. I don't remember. But I know that I would have it on while I was crocheting the shawl that I made. So just for background noise, right? I wasn't necessarily watching it because I've seen all of the episodes, but I had it on as something to drown out the noise of the pub next door. But I could pick up because I'd seen them all. So the bad thing about doing it something like that where it's like on cable is that you can't start at the beginning and go all the way to the end. You have to pick up wherever they are. So you get some holes in the plot until you catch up or you can watch it. If there are any other ways that you know how to watch things like that, I mean, maybe it's on YouTube, maybe it could be a lot of places, but I watched it on Netflix. So let me know what you think. And if there are any shows that you want me to do, please let me know. I want this to be a series that you want to watch. I want this to be a series that you enjoy coming back to see. So if there's a show that you want me to check out, I will do my best. If it's on something like Apple TV or something, I don't have that, but I mean, I have the internet. So I can research and at least find pictures and things like that. So I would love to hear from you about the show Friends or about something else that has fiber arts in it. And remember, it does not have to be knit or crochet only. It can be sewing, it can be weaving, it can be quilting. It can be so many things. Anything that has to do with the fiber arts. And there is another series that I have. It's a podcast called Fiber Arts with You, and there are lots of things that I've done in that series. There's 12 episodes, so anything having to do with any of those fabrics or techniques or anything like that that you would want to, if you know that shows up on a TV show or a movie or a documentary even, sure, why not, right? Maybe it'll get me to watch more TV. Who knows? But until then, be well, be safe, and be the change you wish to see in the world, everyone. Ciao, Bella!